Is your family using screen time like never before since COVID-19? You're not alone. Almost everyone watching this video could probably say yes. Screen time is up with kids, teens, and if we're honest, with adults too. It's time to reevaluate how we assess what's too much and what's healthy with our use of technology and screens. We need to change it from limit it at all costs, let's avoid it at all costs, to finding a healthy balance. Technology is unavoidable. Let's stop beating ourselves up as parents for having our children being able to use technology, to teaching ourselves and our children how to use technology to improve our lives, to increase our connection with others, to learn new things, and at the same time not get lost in it. In this video, I'm going to review the dangers of technology, the benefits and the usefulness of technology, and how to find a healthy balance and assess what is healthy for your family. To start with, let's talk about why we as parents have so much anxiety and fear around technology and screen time. It's because we were taught to. There's been a lot of research and data out there that says long-term use of technology, especially in kids, has a negative impact. So we were told, limit screen time, be mindful of screen time, be careful of what they're looking at their screens. And none of that is bad. That is good to be on top of it. But I think it has turned into where we as parents have gotten to a point where we're really too on top of this screen time. We're seeing the screen as only negative and not seeing the potential and the positive on the other side. So let me give you an example. While I was going to school to become a counselor, I was shown all these studies. I was taught all these things. I was taught how to become a child counselor and how important this was to teach parents. So much so that when I became a parent myself, I limited screens at all costs. I didn't let them watch TV much. I didn't allow anyone to give them a toy that involved a screen. And when it was time for my child to go to kindergarten, the school actually suggested to help the child get ready for school to have them on a screen and get them used to using a device. And I remember how angry I was. I've been working so hard to keep this screen away from my child, and now you're telling me I need to teach them how to use one? At that point, I didn't have balance yet. I only saw it as bad. So in this video, we're going to dive into, yes, there are warning signs. Yes, you can use it too much. And that's what we're going to dive into here in a second. But there's also balance to be had. So what are the real dangers? Using screens increases our levels of dopamine in a similar way that a drug increases our level of dopamine. So a screen can be very addictive. Also, a screen makes us feel really good. It increases that dopamine level, but in turn, that can make everyday life feel more dull, feel more boring. Now, boring is a word, and now if you're a parent of an adolescent, you've heard before, I'm so bored. This is something we battle with all the time, and using a device a lot can make the everyday feel a lot more boring. I want to add an unintended consequence of technology that we may not have thought about, and that's how technology is impacting our home. So if we're focused on a perception that technology is bad, it should be limited and avoided at all costs, then it's going to create this tension in the home of being watchful, hypervigilant, causing anxiety, of tracking our child's use of technology, talking to our child about their use of technology, which if you've ever had one of those talks before, they don't go very well, do they? Then that creates more tension in the home and more tension in your relationship. And then that can roll over into any other disciplinary issues that you may have, augmenting them, making them a little worse. So technology can have a negative impact because of how we're obsessing over it and that negative perception we have of it, creating a ripple effect in our whole family. There's a way to challenge that. There's a way to challenge that tension in the home and kind of bring back a little bit of sanity. And that's changing the perception. And I'm not saying that worshiping the almighty altar of technology and saying it's all good. We need to ground ourselves that this can get out of hand. This can get addictive. And in a few minutes, I'm going to go through some of those warning signs. But it's about creating balance in how we perceive technology, how we perceive screen time, from it's all bad or it's all good to it's a useful tool. It's a useful tool that has really simplified our lives. Even now in the pandemic, I'm ordering groceries online. How convenient is that? I remember writing papers on paper and then someone editing them and then having to rewrite the whole paper in an edited way. Gosh, typing a paper now, the convenience factor of that is amazing. And being able to search and find things online. Remember having to go to a library, open a book, look in the code of what aisle and what section the book is in so that you can find the information you need? Now we just Google it. Even our arguments in the car can be resolved with, let's Google it. Is Pluto still a planet? Let's find out real quick. Technology can be wonderful in that way, but it can be overused. So it's looking at it as a tool and seeing it that way, knowing we've got to have balance around it and creating healthy habits around the use of technology. We can overdo it with exercise. We can overdo it with eating. We can overdo it with sugar. All of these things can be addictive, just like technology, but we have to have healthy habits around those things so that we can enjoy them and we can have balance. Before we jump into the next part, I think we should talk about, is my child addicted? Is my child going down that path? What are some of those warning signs so that you can be mindful of them? They don't have to take over your life, but you can be mindful of them. So one is if your child uses their device to cope with emotion. So you may see them getting upset, sad, I just want to watch TV, or I just need to message some friends, or I just need to watch this show on my phone. They are using the device to distract and to not feel. That's a warning sign for you. It doesn't mean so much that they're addicted, but that they're using their device to manage emotions that they should learn how to manage on their own. And so we can talk a little bit more about that if you need to. If you find your child doing that, then they may need a little extra support in managing their emotions. And a counselor, a guidance counselor, talk with you as a parent can help them see inside themselves and become more present with their emotion. That's a really important skill that sometimes technology can take away from us. Another key sign is if the idea of getting off the device causes an intense anger outburst, or you notice your child just almost looking very distracted, like they're not really with you or not present in the moment when they're off their device. That's saying that the levels of dopamine in the brain have gone up so high, now they're crashing low now that they don't have that stimulus, the drug, so that the child or your teen is not with you, is not present. It takes a while for the homeostasis of the brain to reestablish. And so if that's happening, then that means they've been on technology for too long. And if that continues to happen over time, it teaches the brain, I need that kind of stimulus to be okay. And that's really what feeds the addiction. Another warning sign is if they're just on it all the time. And I'm talking 12 hours a day. They're not happy. They're not okay if they're not on their technology. That is a key sign that this may be becoming a little too much. There has to be a balance between the use of the technology and our everyday social engagement, our activities off the device. If there is a balance here, we're resilient. We can be on the technology and still engage with life in a healthy way. So how do we create that balance? I think the first key is shifting your perception so that it's not always a battle, a fight with your kids about their technology. Because once it's not a battle anymore, their guard is going to go down. They're not going to be so tense and tight and protective over their technology against you. Instead, it'll be, hey, you've been on that for a little while. Let's take a break and go outside and do something. Or have other activities engaged in your family's normal routine that does not involve the device. So family game night, or let's go to a yoga class or a walk every morning before school and work starts. It's creating different routines built into the everyday so that the device is just a part of the day. It doesn't consume the day. Another piece to finding balance is let's not use technology as a tool of punishment. If it's an effective tool that we need to use on an everyday basis, it shouldn't be what we lose when we get a consequence. We use our computers to write papers, do research, do school. We use our phone to connect with friends, to see what the beat of life is going on around us. And that's now more important than ever with more distance and quarantining going on. This is an effective tool for your teen to calm down, even with different apps like the Calm app. So let's find another way of giving a consequence, or let's get another way of regulating maybe negative use of technology, which is being on social media all the time. Maybe let's install something that limits that on the phone rather than limiting the phone itself. And helping yourself and your child finding balance, the last one I'm going to go over is self-control. Self-control is tough because that comes from within, but we have to, one, use self-control for ourselves when we use technology, but then our child needs to learn how to manage their use of technology on their own. You're not going to be with them forever. Eventually, hopefully, they will move out. They'll be 25, 35, and moving forward with our life. And technology is only going to probably become more part of our lives as it advances. So they need to learn how to manage this on their own, or they're going to be in big trouble when they go off to college for the first time. And so some of these practices is really mindfulness and body awareness. At a certain point when we've been using technology for a while, we can feel it. It kind of feels a little uncomfortable. We might have a little bit of a headache. Our eyes may be feeling a little tired from pinching so hard to look at the screen. Or we may feel that disconnected feeling from the world. That boredom feeling starts to creep up in us. That's when we've had enough. So teaching your child how to feel that for themselves, because after you've been using technology for a long period of time and you come off of it, that's a very uncomfortable feeling if you've used it too long. You feel like you kind of feel detached, bored, like nothing motivates you, nothing can make you feel good for a little while. And so let them know that's the natural consequence. You're going to feel this way if you've been on technology for too long. And to kind of gauge that for yourself, if you start to feel this way, it's time to take a break. Put the phone down, walk around, or go do a different activity that involves maybe a little bit of exercise or art, or doing homework with pen and paper the old-fashioned way, cooking with you, different things like that, different ways to have fun and engage with the family. Or, oh my goodness, telling a teen, hey, go out and be with your friend in person instead of talking with them on the phone or over social media. And with our pandemic, I think it's really great that adolescents now are learning more than ever how important that face-to-face and direct social interaction is, because while we were in the complete lockdown part of the quarantine, I heard teen after teen talking about how much they missed it. So I think this really rattled that generation, and to show them that we've got to connect more than just through a screen. And so I think there's a little more hope there for that too, and they're going to be longing for it more now than ever, which I think is only a positive thing. And so it's really about shifting our focus, shifting our mindset to seeing technology as a tool that it is, about creating healthy habits with our use of technology, and creating this body awareness, this sense of, I know what's too much or enough for me personally, because it's going to be different for you, for your teen, and for me. We all have different brains. We all have different bodies. What's too much is based on our own experience. And so having the conversation that way with your teen will help it be a back and forth of, hey, did you feel that kind of drop off? I did yesterday. I think I used it a little too long. Have you been feeling that way at all? And so it's a dialogue. It's a back and forth where you are trusting them to pay attention to their own body and manage it on their own. What that's going to do is the child's going to feel more respected, more trusted, and they are actually going to take it on more for themselves. If it feels forced, pushed, controlled, they're going to rebel. They're going to show you how much they can use technology. And then that's going to be a battle that's going to happen every time and create more tension in your home, which I know we all want to avoid. So if you're seeing any of the warning signs that your child may be addicted, or some of these ways to create self-control and better habits just aren't working, we're here to help. We're here to see how we can help your teen work through what's the real source, what's the real why behind the need to focus on the device, because there may be something that they're avoiding. There may be something they're trying to distract themselves away from that needs to be slowly and carefully unpacked. Sometimes that's hard to do with their parents, especially as they get older in their teen years. They need their own person, their own place to process this. And that's where we can come in and help. Or if you really notice those signs that your child is 100% addicted, that they cannot get off the device, then we may need to do a little more of an intervention and help you with helping them in addition to counseling. In the links below, you'll find our website where you'll learn more about us and how we can help. There's also a link where you can schedule a time for us to call you when it's most convenient, as well as other resources for you as a parent in navigating this conversation with your children of technology and screen time. We hope this video helps, and if you click the subscribe button, where we're coming out with new content every week that supports you as a parent. We're going to be doing an anxiety series next, followed by a marriage series. If you want to see those videos as they come out, as well as hitting the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Then you'll get a notification on your phone as soon as a new video comes up. I look forward to seeing you in our next video.